effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Another wonderful Monday afternoon to you, everyone, at the start of another week for The Real Issues with me, Shelton Daniel. Thank you for tuning in and welcome alongside my technical operator, Alton Jaquan Joseph. I hope you had a wonderful, safe, enjoyable weekend and that you're looking forward to the rest of your week, your Holy Week, being similarly so. Yes, as we know that Thursday, Holy Thursday, will be our final program for the week because the day after will be Good Friday, which is a public holiday. And it's not any public holiday, by the way. You go to any supermarket, at least that's the way I know it was. And you go to any supermarket to shop, the shelves where the all alcoholic drinks are on are blocked off, okay? So Even if you manage to push your hand underneath the buntings that keep them out of sight and you take it, the cashiers won't check it out for you. So whether it's a bottle of, how was the name of that wine that was once so popular, cheap wine, nitrine, whether it's a bottle of nitrine or whether it's a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue or Chivas Regal or so on, they won't check it out for you. So it's one of the stricter days. So Friday will be Good Friday, and of course Holy Saturday, and then Sunday coming is going to be Easter Sunday. All right, so that's the 5th of April, because the moment we hit tomorrow, which is the end of March, from Wednesday we are in April territory. And as I was saying this morning when I hosted Zafen Setlisi on behalf of Yadi, I wonder if I should ask for a day off, so nobody plays that prank on me, the April Fool's one, because my mind may not just be on it at all, just not thinking about it. And then I've given people a bit of poisson avoué, in my life. So I'm afraid one of these days somebody might decide to give me a bit of payback, which I can ill afford, make me drive somewhere far because somebody supposedly wants to see me or talk to me or tell me they have an urgent message. Can I help them out in a tight situation? These are things I've heard. At one time, a man was given a little note and he was told to take it to the sergeant at the police station, and the sergeant looked at the note and he scribbled something on it like it was very important. He put it in an envelope, sealed it, gave it to the man, said, take it to the priest. The priest looked at him and he walked up and down like that, take it to the school principal, until at one time, when he realized the circle of the message delivery and resending through him wasn't ending at all. He asked someone what was in that message that he had to walk so much for it, and they opened it and read it for him, and all it said was, all fools, they make the damn fool walk for nothing, so they made him walk up and down, up and down, up and down, all over the place. So it's a fun kind of thing, but not everybody may appreciate it. I don't know if any of you are familiar with some of the is it folk tales and so on about Good Friday? I was born and raised in Denver, spent the earliest part of my life there, and there was something about Good Friday where they said you're not supposed to go into the sea on that day. Now, I don't know if it is a story that was told to us, because we, the young boys of that era, especially around that time, is Easter vacation from school. So like I tell you, it's a non-stop duvet. And the sea was a big part of that duvet, we didn't want to get out of the water. We didn't want to get off the beach. Our parents were really killjoys, where they would send somebody to call us most times because they were busy, or they would come by the beach and say, oh, what's the thing? I remember one time my father told myself and another sibling that, look, we can go to the beach, but 1 hour is enough. 1 hour? The sibling said to me, I said, you're going to send me? I'm not going to spend 1 hour by the beach. And so we openly defied that. We went to the beach, and we have been another, I can't even count, it's when darkness comes, you definitely know you have to leave. And when we went to my father, a very strict man by any measure, who used to raise his voice, I suppose the ex-police kind of thing, in him, and said, I said only 1 hour. Well, we turned our backs, went to our rooms and showered and did whatever we had to do. But 1 hour by the beach on Easter holiday. But the tradition was that you don't go into the water, because on Good Friday, it's bad luck day. So if you think it's only Friday the 13th that has this folklore or whatever attached to it and so on, Good Friday, which is supposed to be, a blessed day, but you go to the beach and you have fun and so on, and you're in trouble. The water will turn to blood. And when the water turns to blood, the thickness of the water is going to hold you. It will grab you. You will not be able to move. And so you are going to die. The other thing about Good Friday was that it was sacrilegious to eat meat. The only thing you could eat was fish. And there was a plentiful supply of something made of fish, which was the fish cakes. Akra, we say it in English, but when I grew up, it's aqua. Aqua. And saltfish was not as expensive then, so it was not a big issue making the fish cakes with saltfish, but there were other means of making it. I don't remember the sardine, but there was a tiny fish that used to be plentiful around this time of the year, and the people with the nets, they call the lepevier, and the people who used to go sailing. Fish is a big part of the tradition of Lent, and that during that season you eat it. And when the Lenten season culminates, then you would hear people saying about they had a sheep that they were fattening, much we pack, because at the time it's over. But before that, you try to stay away from meat, red meat, those kind of things. But at the end of the pack, I don't remember the pig making too much part of it, but I don't even remember the goat per pack and so on. But the little fish I remember is what the anchovies were and so on, twee. They used to catch them plentifully, a lot of them, and we, the children, used to go and help the people who had the nets. I can't recall if the seine was in it, but I know definitely the hand nets, how they call that and so on. But the quail sticks with me more, the l'épervier. And so for helping and so on, you'd get, even if it's a handful of it, a poignée, your parents would buy more of it and so on. It seemed like a small thing. I wonder how they managed to hold that and clean it, or even have the patience to deal with it. But fried en masse in a heavy batter, whatever you do after you clean it, you season it and you mix it in with the flour and you drop a whole clump of that into the frying pan. It required less artistry to make than the fish cakes, The fish cake was, some good mixing and blending and all of that, but the twee was something, and that used to form a part of the fish for many people and so on. In addition to growing up with a few skills to catch a little something here and there and so on that you got into, whether it was a seaweed, kind of sea crab or so on, and whatever else you could catch at the time. The land was plentiful. Now I don't know if we still have twee, if it still keeps to the schedule of around this time of the year. I haven't checked. It would not surprise me if it has become so few, so far between, so not available, you're not seeing it because of all the pollution that we have. Maybe at the time we didn't know about pollution, but too much of those things now in our waters. We don't have rivers. Those we have, to find crayfish that's worth spending some time with, it would have to be high up in the heights and so on. I remember I used to go with my family, and the children used to have a lot of fun catching crayfish and crayfish bassin in the heights of Maho, Miko, where they call Brakanu, way up there and so on. Of course, I used to urge them to be on the lookout because I think it's a snake-infested area, even though we never came across any, and we used to be warned by the old people of my time that wherever you go and you can find things like crayfish and, the river, life seems to be abundant. Be careful, because snakes feed. They come and fish and feed on what they can get, the very same zanji and quibish and so on, that the snakes do eat those things. So if it's around, but we never saw one, at least not in that particular area. Had a lot of fun in those days. I'd like to see a St. Lucia where we can take our children out on little picnics, little camping trips and so on, to have fun with them, to teach them things we knew we gave up, in a very sustainable way. However, the manner in which we are treating our environment and so on, the garbage disposal, people go to places and they have fun. And where was it? I heard Honorable Jeremiah Norbert in Parliament last week talking about the repair of the Maho Road. And he said, people have welcomed it, and yes, they will. And he said, as a matter of fact, there was a place you could hardly drive there, but now hardly a weekend passes for there not to be some river lime. And, I squirmed and cringed at that point, because I have been to a few river limes. I've probably organized a couple of them. And it's a nice thing, I used to have a mobile sound and music system that I was managing, and, to go to places where you have what you call a riverside jam and so on. But nowadays, it's like people do not know how to organize themselves, without just tossing things out as if it doesn't matter. The very same river where they come to have fun, the beer bottle is there. Some time ago, I think Zephrinus Joseph, who represented St. Lucia in athletics and all of that, Zephrinus is from Monrepo, and Zephrinus had to put up, some video to show the river that runs alongside Fond Estate, and Louangie, Dobé, and those places, to show how dirty it is when people come there to have a little riverside picnic or riverside lime or riverside jam, whatever they call it, the kind of garbage and bottles and plastics and glass, that they leave there, which can seriously injure people and so on. Even if this river still had the eels and the prawns and the crayfish, whatever that we love so much, and it was a plentiful, first of all, the flow of that river has reduced drastically because the forest cover that used to sustain it, a lot of it is gone. But even if you won't want to step into that water, especially in areas where you know people congregate for their social gatherings and limes and so on, because you step in the river before, the only thing you have to worry about is pebbles, under your feet. But now you have to worry about verboten, broken shards of broken glass and sharp and, going into your foot and in that environment of the water flowing, you probably, if you didn't feel it, you won't see blood because the river is carrying it away and so on, And Zephyrin has put up a couple of, these videos to show what people were doing. It's like there are just some people, there cannot be a good vibe for them. And when the others who might ordinarily, and folks, this is something I think we are discounting, We are discounting the effect we can have on others in a positive way. When somebody sees you making sure that your bottle, that your plate, that your plastic bag, that your how you call this place, the polystyrene plates and so on, and all these things, and you are careful to place it in a garbage bag, which is high capacity. A lot of those things are lightweight. The plastic bottles and all, say what you say. A whole lot of those things can feel like just 2 ounces, when you lift it and so on. You tie one end of it to a tree and you just toss your thing in it. And afterwards you take it away for safe disposal. People see one or a few people doing it, they follow. This is a positive example of monkey see, monkey do. But you see, when they see people, including those who are supposed to be responsible, just throw in a bottle in the river. Just drop it on the ground. Just use it for throwing practice. Smash it against a rock. So a whole lot of, very sharp, glass shards around the place and so on, just for kicks off, just to show you macho. Then other people consider it doesn't matter, And so the negative modeling and so on, it continues and more people are dropping it. A lot of what is happening to our country environmentally, it is being done because we are mindless, because we don't care, because we believe it doesn't matter. So, on this Holy Week where most of us, those of us who work, will not have to work on Friday. We won't have to work. If you do decide to take some picnic, to take a lime, whether by the river or by the sea, be more mindful of the environment. It's not just about you. It's about your family. It's about your children, who the teacher may take them on some field trip sometime in the near future, and then they're very limited in what they can, because everywhere they turn is a plastic bag, is a this and a that and the other. It's impacting the whole life, wildlife, the birds and so on. It's affecting them. It's impacting the marine life, whether it be turtles, whether it be whatever. It is problematic for them. It's problematic for humans. If I were to go into a nice little pool, tidal pool or regular pool, that forms in places like Bois-Chateau and so on, the moment I feel plastic bag and I see glass bottle and so on, I don't want to stay there anymore. It's not a matter of the water looking dirty. The water will still look clear. But I don't want to go and enjoy a sea bath and by the time I take a little 2 strokes and so on, some plastic bag is already around my wrist and some plastic bottle, because I think the next bottle will be a broken one, and then you will cut yourself and it's going to be a whole messy thing. People, y'all don't need Shelton Daniel or anybody to act like there's some kind of preacher lecturing you on those kind of things. This is a beautiful country. Still, it is a beautiful country. Let us take better care of it than we have been doing. So I want to wish you a happy Holy Week. And, whatever you do, whether it's eating aqua, the old-fashioned way, particularly like those back in the day that were peppery, Oh, yes, the ones for good hot pepper. As a young boy, I really like the pepper. My family have a tradition of people who can eat pepper. I could tell you that we used to eat a lot of pepper. But I guess as you grow older and you deal with things like, how they call it, acid reflux and those things, you understand that some things can cause flare-ups and so on. And the other thing was, some of us used to say that we prefer the fish cake, the aqua, next day, because by then a lot of the oil that it had absorbed, it's a spongy, absorbent kind of batter that you make. So it sucks in a lot of the oil in which it is fried. So either you put it on a piece of tissue or somewhere, drop its oil, or you wait until the next day. which is not as nice, because when it is hot, I can assure you, when this thing is hot right out of the frying pan, I think that's when it's at its best. You have to hold it and tear it. It has a half paper, half sponge kind of consistency out of it. And when you eat it, you know this, you have to run it from one corner of your mouth to the next and so on, and take a breath so that, you know, the air rushing in will have a cooling effect and so on. So some people prefer it découché. Some people prefer it hot and fresh and right off the fire. Whatever it is, aqua, I think, is a good tradition that's worth preserving. But as we grow older, we develop all different kinds of things. And if your doctor tells you eat no more than one, well, of course, you can get around that by making one the whole size of the frying pan. So the frying pan can only take one, you know. But if your doctor tells you, or it is contraindicated because of its oily nature, because of the salt content, because of whatever it is, or you've become gluten intolerant. This is why the other day I was talking about utilizing more of the local ingredients that we have, that we grew up with, to see whether you can pound breadfruit. You know what I'm talking about? You can pound breadfruit. As I said, the breadfruit reaches a place where it gets sticky, just like dough with flour, but it's gluten-free. And then you can mix in whatever it is, whether it is tweet or saltfish, and you can make a fish cake aqua that has breadfruit as the pastry, as the dough, or something else. We should have had enough experience in those things now, so people can enjoy things without some of the perils to health that come as a result of getting older, you know, some changes taking place in the body and so on, that we can continue to have fun. Now, Jokwan, where are we now? How many more minutes we have to go? 8 more minutes, okay. All right. My phone says 9. Last week, I think it was Friday, I mentioned about unions having elections, you know, for executive and those sort of things. And I don't know if it was in response to that. Let me see this. Somebody just sent me. Okay, it's an unrelated message. I don't know if it was in response to that I got a message from someone who's a veteran trade unionist. In fact, and the person said, you know, what I was saying was, look, union leaders, I've heard too many things alleged and insinuated and about you and how you are using your positions in the union to get little deals or sweetheart deals in the back room, undercover, under the table with employers, whether the employer be government, that you're negotiating something where you can get some promotion or reclassification or get some job. Maybe it's a diplomatic posting that you've been after. And a lot of the times when they make noise, they are making noise because they had asked for something, they're not getting it. So it's like a threatening noise to whether it's a minister or permanent secretary or managing director or what that. You know, I can make life uncomfortable for you if you don't give me what I want. So whether it's scholarship they want for their children. You know, there was a time I told you somebody assured me that a certain trade unionist was making noise for a certain hotel in St. Lucia because he wanted something for... whether it was his daughter to get some scholarship, which he eventually got, or for them to pass him some money with which he built a very massive house and so on. I don't know if it's true. People say all kinds of things, but my point was that try to step out to be more representative and reflective of the members of your union, the people that you represent. Don't go into this for yourself and you're looking for yourself. I think we had in the past someone who was accused of actually selling out an entire union so that they could, in exchange for that, get some candidacy for a political party, and eventually ended up, in some position in the government after that party won the elections. We've heard all those sorts of things. I can't prove them, but that's hardly the point. Act in the interest of your members. And so I got this message from someone, and this is what it says. Shelton, starting with the top. President, when the executive committee takes a decision about overseas travel and she disregards it and goes ahead, what does that say? A president who can be part of the undermining of branch representatives to get elected her person of choice. A president who writes directly to the Ministry of the Public Service, who is responsible for all aspects of the management of government workers, making recommendations as to who should be promoted. This was done without consultation with the Executive Committee and Industrial Relations arm of the union. A president who can plant and fertilize the seed of division within every level of the union, in addition to usurping her authority over the daily operations of the union's Industrial Relations Secretariat, a duty which is supposed to be carried out by the General Secretary. A president who, during an active negotiation on behalf of members, who can hold private meetings with the employers unknown to her Industrial Relations branch. A president who continues to disregard so many clauses of the Constitution and acts like an authority unto herself. A president who has gone on the original scene and misrepresented the facts as it relates to the operations of the union. A president who continues to handle the finances of the union in a manner which directly violates the Constitution. A president who continues to disregard the offices and responsibilities of the various elected members of her executive. Members of the team seeking election who have served in various capacities in the past and not performed in accordance with the Constitution as it regards such roles. Members who presently continue to sow the seeds of discord at various branches within the union. Now, it doesn't mention anybody. I think I have an idea who, if it is a current union leader, maybe it's referring to the past, people in the past, maybe someone vying for re-election, whatever it is. But I will sum up everything that I think this individual is trying to say there, and it is underhandedness. And it's not just unions, I've dealt with political parties who have said that the political leader behaves like he or she is the only person who has a mandate, who got elected, whatever. They do things, they do not consult with the deputy, with the chairman, with the treasurer, things which have implications for the offices which those other people hold. They just make decisions, they issue press releases, they give directives and orders. It's like the political leader is the only person that matters. And one time I said that to a political leader because in a kind of a consultancy or advisory capacity, a lot of the people were coming to me and saying, you see this, I'm just seeing this for the first time. He could have just called me on the phone and said blah, blah, blah. And then when I pointed it out to the political leader, he said to me, look, here's the Constitution. And just read this one line. And the one line said effectively that the political leader is responsible for the business of the party. Now, I didn't say anything further, but what represents the business of the party? What represents? And then that political leader was hit with a string of resignations, and almost every one of them was based on the individual resigning, being unhappy with the manner in which decisions were being made unilaterally, without any consultation, and it had implications for the position that they held, for a whole lot of things that they had to account for. But the political leader was under the impression that being responsible for the party meant that he or she had the right to take decisions on matters affecting the party, and afterwards we come together and we can settle that, we can thrash it out, we can have it ratified. And I remember one time, a member who is now deceased said to me, look, this kind of thing that's going on there, I'm not going to be part of it, I ain't going to be nobody's effing rubber stamp, that you go and do things and then afterwards, after the fact, you call in so and so. And he was extremely upset, that man. I'd never seen him so angry about that before. It will not surprise me if in unions the same thing is happening, but it is the remainder of the executive and the membership and the general council or whatever they call themselves who's supposed to say no more of this, not one step further with this. We have a constitution, we have rules, we have bylaws, we have whatever it is. We are supposed to act. None of these actions that you have taken constitute an emergency, where you had to act on the matter immediately, or else if we did not, it could have catastrophic consequences for the union. None of this. This could have been done by a meeting, where the members present can comprise a simple quorum. We can have an agreement that we can have a telephone networking or a Zoom call or whatever it is to come together and to do it. Not for you to go ahead and do it and then afterwards bring us together to ratify it as though our ratification, our agreement, our concurrence is a given. It's a foregone conclusion. They have to take these kinds of firm steps, because if not, the management and the governance and hence the stability and the sustainability and the credibility of that union will erode, it will slip away, and it will happen in such an imperceptible manner, It will be something that will happen that you won't even realize it is happening, that the ground is being pulled out from under your feet, that in a time you will not have a union anymore. A union, the very name of union implies a togetherness, a coming together, a conjoining. So if one person is acting as if the union is all about them and what they want, you don't have a union. You have a straight case autocracy, and one that can be very difficult to take back when things are already written down, things are already agreed to, things are already signed, things are already confirmed, things are already ratified. And then to pull back, there's nothing you can do most times after that without dismantling the entire structure, without deconstructing everything that you consider to be the interwoven pieces of a lattice upon which the whole depends to perform and to function and so on. Because you know what? The ground, the rug, everything has been pulled out from under your feet, and you did not stand firmly enough. Now, this is not easy, We live in a world where a lot of us, the people who try to make noise, because we believe that opposition and principle is always about making noise and overturning the table and this kind of thing. But there's one big weakness in us, human beings, especially in this modern world. We want people to like us. We want people to approve of us. We want that little pat on the head that says, don't think nothing, I'm okay with you. No pe mun hai, no pe mun fashek, no. So we go along with things because we want to be part of the crowd. We want not to be seen to be the troublemaker. We want not to be seen to be the one who's always making everything go up in the smoke of an argument and a quarrel and so on. We need people like that. You want to go to those things and everybody nodding their head in agreement and so on. You don't care about the broader membership, what effect you're having on them. You don't want people to say that you're the troublemaker, that you're always doing this thing about going along and everybody like you and everybody saying what a nice guy you are. I'm not telling you to go and to throw things at people and to throw a chair at the chairperson. That's not what I'm talking about. But you see this weakness we have, where we're afraid of people criticizing us. And, manipulative people, they know what buttons to press on you, They know what strings to pull. They know if you're somebody who have some ego and some bombast and some pride about you, to say something that will make you ashamed of something about yourself, either some perceived deficiency that you have, or to come to show you that you're not learned and you're not intelligent. And before you know it, if that is the thing about your level of intelligence, your intellectual pride and your narcissism, you understand, this worship of the status of being recognized as being a brain and so on, they just say something that suggests that you're ignorant or whatever and so on. And right away you recoil and you're in a corner and you don't want to talk and you don't want to say and you don't come to the next meeting. Get off that kind of thing and do not let manipulative people, background instigators, and sometimes not even so much in the background, who through sheer dint of doing it have that kind of, instinct for targeting your area of vulnerability. You go to any meeting and somebody tries to attack you on some foolishness that has no relevance, just point out to it, this is not relevant, this is not germane to the discussion that we are having. It says that before you could have made this withdrawal or given this order for payment, 3 people needed to sign whatever warrant or whatever check, whatever and so on. They are the president, the treasurer, and a trustee and so on. This does not seem to have been done. Whatever, we need to find out why it was honored at the bank, or why the payment requisition was done without that and so on. If you say it's an emergency, provide the justification, this sort of thing. Don't let anybody come, are you not the guy who did so and so and so in your past? Now you want to come and talk, in a very sanctimonious way about doing things. Well, no, yes, what I did in the past had nothing to do with this union. It had nothing to do with whether I'm somebody who blows $10,000 in a night on bears or whatever. That's not your business. The business before us is the business of the union, and that is what I'm seeing is not done. Of course, stand your ground on those things, and don't let people who have their own agendas, who are manipulative, who have ways of pulling strings and yanking chains and doing. And usually when they bypass the procedures that are laid down for putting people in positions, you know what they're doing is their own little personal private army that they're building. So tomorrow you go to a meeting, there are already 50 people who are already prepped and ready to start booing you and to shouting you down and talking over you, and you can't get anything, and maybe even pass behind you and give you a callot too. You know, these are the ways that evil, manipulative people behave. We need people who can stand up against them and don't allow this kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, they'll drag everything, they'll mash up everything, they'll drag everybody down with them. And even if the organization does survive, but at least you will come out with your reputation and your integrity intact. And because of you, maybe the organization will find strength and viability to continue and to be sustained. This is The Real Issues. We take our first commercial break, and when we come back, the lines will be open for your calls, and I'll also be reading some messages as well.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains, and illnesses? When there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains, and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild, the power to heal, the future of pain relief.
McDowell Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway. Call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy, Soufrière, Knights Med, Miku. Lay by Bar, The Morn. Dexter's Place, Jeremy Street, Castries. Citygate Bar, the City opposite the market. Plants Place, Denry Highway. Arlette Supermarket, Soufre. The Release Stress Bar, Labrie Highway. Cool Joint Bar, Victoria Schwazel. Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop, opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Thank you, everyone, for staying with the real issues at the start of another week. Our program, as you know, airs weekdays, meaning holidays and weekends accepted, on the radio station Real FM that serves you on the frequencies of 91.3 for those of you who are joining us in the northern part of St. Lucia, and 91.5 megahertz for the south. Let's see, that's... Someone wrote that Tyrone Maynard has been in control of the NWU for over 40 years. All right. That shows what a good leader he is, a good president. I think his last was President General. Isn't he retired now? I'm told that he is severely visually impaired or something like that. I haven't seen or spoken to him for quite some time. Carlton also says some of you are forgetting that you have to put saltfish in the accra. Really? So people sell fish cake without any fish in it? Maybe the saltfish, I don't know. The saltfish comes from an incredibly long distance, far away place. I think Canada. Canadian cod is what we get here. Salted codfish. Do we have cod in the Caribbean waters? Is there not any substitute that we can? Is curing and salting things so difficult? Is salt so difficult to come by? I'm thinking if we ever have those desalination plants, the reverse osmosis or however they call them, I'm told that after they have filtered the salt after the water, it's pumped back into the sea. They call it brine, right? Can we not take that brine and subject it to some, what it seems to me, a greatly reduced evaporation need, maybe minimal and so on, and we can get copious amounts of our own sea salt. There's a big deal being made of sea salt and how it's better because it has a lot of natural minerals, magnesium and calcium, which the industrially produced salt is over purified. It doesn't have. Won't we have a salt that has the iodine or whatever that we need, and that we can use it for various purposes if ever we go into desalination? Is salt in short supply? And can we not take some of the fish that we have and do the curing and whatever else comes with it? I don't know. I mean, we have mackerel. I mean, there were people in Soufre who were my friends when I visited them. They used to tell me, we got mackerel and we saved some. Of course, the mackerel didn't look like the one because it's not salted, it's not cured, it's not taken out of brine and whatever. But saltfish is expensive. Lamouwi say go zo machelma. And the thing that when you used to buy katsu lamouwi and you used to roast it and do what to put it on some farine and wet it with some water and put it in your container to take it to school, and you used to hide to eat it because if children saw you eating it, other children, they would laugh at you and so on. For saltfish is a big shot now. Not just saltfish, just about everything. Oxtail, delicious thing, when it's cooked, the whole thing about the Africans, the cuisine and so on. But this thing ain't cheap at all, to buy oxtail now when the price of a kilogram, everything is expensive. Now, that's what I'm saying. I wonder if the old traditions of the tui and the sardine and the sene and the lepevier and so on, are those things viable anymore? Are they worth the while? Or is it that when you'll put out your seine and you drag it in, it will be 10 pounds of fish and 100 pounds of garbage, that you're going to reel in and so on? I don't really know. Let me see what else is there in the chat. But there's something that on Sunday yesterday when I was listening to the investiture ceremony, I think that's where I heard it, but there were two things that kind of came to my attention. And I just want your thoughts on it. You can send it to me via in the chat or in the Real Issues WhatsApp, in the Facebook live chat or in the Real Issues, saying that under our constitution, our form of government, having a governor general, is modeled on the British monarchy. The governor general is supposed to be the king's representative in St. Lucia. In the British system, there is never more than one monarch or sovereign ruling at a time. So it's either the Queen, her husband is known as His Royal Highness, the Duke of whatever, or there is the King. King Charles is the King. So there's no such thing as their majesties. It is His Majesty, King Charles III or whatever it is, and Camilla, Queen Consort or whatever name they found for her. But Queen Elizabeth ruled for what, more than 70 years, from 1952 to let's say 70 years or so on. And there was never anything about, it was Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, and His Royal Highness, the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. I never knew that you at any time, at least in my memory, in my knowledge, that they referred to the British monarch and his or her spouse as their majesties. So if there is only one majesty at a time, one monarch, one sovereign, why now I am increasingly here, not just in St. Lucia, I raised that matter with Prime Minister Gaston Brown in Antigua. And I said, why now when I go to functions and hearing people referring to the Governor General, nice man, medical doctor, former government minister, Sir Rodney Williams, very nice man, you sit down and have a chat with him. He's so straightforward and frank and so on. He puts you at ease, etc. Why now I'm hearing that his wife's name is Sandra Williams? I'm hearing when I go to functions about their excellencies, referring to the Governor General and his wife. And I told him, we were having a discussion on a live radio program, and he said, well, Antigua being an independent country, I think we have the right to restructure, certain things to our preference and to our liking, and maybe we feel that the Governor General's wife plays such an important role alongside him that we can accord her the recognition as an excellency along with her husband. I didn't really buy it, but I wasn't prepared to make too big an argument. In any case, why put the man on the spot when Rodney Williams was a senior colleague of his, whose father, I think, Dr. Ernest Williams, was a medical doctor also, so, and he kind of specialized in sports medicine and so on. Maybe he didn't want to put, his senior colleague, because, like I said, Rodney had been a minister of the Labour Party, stayed out for about 10 years, the great sweep of, I think, 2004, when the UPP swept to power, 13-4. I think he was one of those, and it was after 10 years when the Labour Party came back to power that they made him Governor General. A very good choice. So, this was Gaston Brown's response to me. But I kind of wonder, are we doing the right thing in calling the Governor General and his spouse their excellencies? If they are representing the British monarch, there's only one majesty. And if his or her excellency is a representative of his or her majesty, the king or queen, then should we be calling them your excellencies? This is something that I have been asking myself. The other thing that I've been questioning too, let me see if I made a note of it. Let me see if I can get that one. Let me see. Sometimes when I make a note and I put it aside, I kind of forget where I'd put it, so I got to scroll. All right. Yeah, come on, don't do that to me. Right. Another thing I've been hearing more and more, and I had to really stress on that to some young reporters that for a while I intermingled with. It's not the Royal St. Lucia Police Band, even though they may ultimately be under the same command. But did we ever know in times past we call in the Royal St. Lucia Police Force Band? Or was there not the differentiation and the distinction made, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force and the Royal St. Lucia Police Band? I'm hearing more and more people are referring to the band as the Royal St. Lucia Police Force Band. I wasn't hearing that before. Did something change and I missed it? It just sounds a bit weird to me, because to me, the different labeling and the different nomenclature was meant to distinguish between whether someone is in the police band, the head of the Royal St. Lucia Police Band, Superintendent Carlos Mins, or Superintendent Gregory Piper, or whatever it was, and so on, that there was this distinction made. And then there's the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. I don't know. Even when the police and the fire service was under the command of the police before they made it a separate department and so on, I didn't hear people calling about the Royal St. Lucia Police Force Fire Brigade or the Royal St. Lucia Police Fire Service. I never heard that. It was the Royal St. Lucia Fire Brigade, or it was the Royal St. Lucia Fire Service. I never did hear this mingling of the police and the band or the fire service nomenclature. So tell me, because I really put some heat on some reporters who are having it hard. I said, no, you should not be saying the Royal St. Lucia Police Force Band. The police band is an entity that operates with its own name and labels and equipment and barracks and the station. You know, there's a fire station as opposed to a police station. It's the Royal St. Lucia Police Band. Don't call it the Royal St. Lucia Police Force Band. But I heard that on the weekend. And I don't know. If anybody knows, you can put a message in one of our chats, or you can send one to me. And, I'll be guided, if you're credible in that regard. So, but I'm not surprised, because some of the things I'm hearing and the people who are saying it, I don't think I should be hearing them. I mean, the people who I heard talking about at Banans, it continues to, it irritates me. It irritates me. Banans. I grew up, I never knew they used to put the S in Banan, That area just over there, going with Millennium, there's a roundabout there. You can turn left to go to Millennium Highway. You can pass the roundabout on the right side and continue to La Talk and those kind of places. It's now I'm hearing the Banans. And like I say, I hear government ministers saying it. I hear people who are supposed to be culturally conscious and people who are into the whole Creole movement and Journée Creole and the Folk Research Center. They keep saying this Banans business. The other one is down in Vieux-Fort, towards Vieux-Fort. Is Savans, on Savans qui va ka fini. Mais si nous lever, même si nous pas te connaître place là, yo ka couiller Savane. Garçon, bœuf la di en Savane. I never knew about savans, Because on peut jamber 3 savans, nous savons. I never know that, no savans and this kind of thing. Okay, it's English. Savans be. I always know the place is called Savan, regardless of whether you're talking English or whether Nous tenons pour nous jamber 3 savans, right now. Eh bien, là, nous comment ouais, j'ai une banane, nous savons. Mohamed est connaît about bananes, ça c'est bananes. Well, pas tout le monde, mais c'est. And I tell you, some of the people I hear saying it are people who are supposed to be culturally conscious, culturally enlightened, culturally proud people who in the Creole movement and so on, I don't think you'll ever hear Michael Gasper saying it. And once again, congratulations to him for copying this award of the St. Lucia Medal of Honor Gold. He and Earl Huntley, and like I said this morning on Zafeno, I feel especially good for them because they're part of the NBC family, so to speak. Dr. Christopher Beaubrun, very personable family doctor kind of man and so on, sitting in his office with him, a quiet man who never raises his voice, but very reassuring, very thorough and so on. I've known him for a long time. And, I ended up working at Radio St. Lucia, and guess whose house is almost touching, well, the fence that separates his Radio St. Lucia and Dr. Beaubrun's house and so on. A very, very nice man and so on. He also got the St. Lucia Medal of Honor Gold. Louis Murray got the St. Lucia Medal of Honor Silver for Forensic Science, as well as Skinny, the man who almost became the MP for Gros-Islet, was, I think, already tipped to run the Gros-Islet seat for the Labour Party in the 2021 general elections, but I think he was just edged out by Kenson Kazimi. But he's a quantity surveyor, and among other things, very well-liked person, it seems, just all around. So congratulations to Terence Skinny Sinclair. So he got the St. Lucia Medal of Honor Silver for Community Development. Mathurin Emmanuel, Dr. Mathurin Emmanuel, you know him of Tears in the Valley, Ribbons of Blue, that playwright and so on. Mathurin Emmanuel got the St. Lucia Medal of Merit Gold, as did Earl Ball Hogjean and Dylan Pitcairn. You know, this man was always in his carnival stuff. The husband, of course, Cheryl, the Calypsonian of Cheryl and Colors. And you know, two women got awards, and I felt especially moved because I don't think before them I had heard anybody get awards in those categories. I didn't know that those categories were nationally recognized. Were they trailblazers, pathfinders in those areas? One of them, Tilita Samuel, Mrs. Tilita Samuel, the mother of Kennedy Booth Samuel, Dr. Delia Samuel, Bernadette Samuel, Henneth David Samuel, who I think at one time briefly served as principal of St. Mary's College, but I could be wrong on that. You know, really family lady, widow of the late Nathaniel Samuel, who they used to call Six. Some people, there was a not so, well, to my mind, Kakajab Samuels and so on, who was also a deacon. But she got the St. Lucia Medal of Merit Silver for liturgy and community service. And for a long time, she worked in the, how do you call that, in the presbytery office or along Miku Street. What's the name of it? It's in the same compound as the school and so on. I think she was the office manager or whatever the position was. She had been a former teacher. I remember she worked for M&C Motors, and for Beachcomber too, as the manager of the car sales department and so on. Very nice lady, and by the way, she has roots up in Monrepo, where I was raised and so on. She is the niece of the late Sesen Descat. Yes, her mother and Sesen Descat were sisters. You know, they would have been Shalry, but of course Sesen married Tenny Descat. That's why around Lapwet you'd have heard her called Martini. And you know, so there's that family, strong family connection. So I want to say congratulations to Mrs. Tilita Samuel. But I don't remember ever hearing anybody getting a national honor for liturgy, which we would associate with religiosity and church administration and so on. So that one kind of intrigued me. The other person who got St. Lucia Medal of Merit Silver was Mary Bruce, and for office administration and something else. Because, like I said, it's not that it's off or anything. It's not that it's weird. It's just that I don't recall a national award being given, and Mary Bruce was in that business forever. I remember around town there were two people who had secretarial services that I remembered, and I used to go in if I wanted a letter typed or, you know, something you would write and put it. In my early days of journalism, if I wanted to write a letter to the editor or some article to send, that I would drop off at the Crusader office at The Voice in the early days of the Star, there were two secretarial services that I would use. One was a former teacher of mine who had a lot to do with my typing ability, and she was so impressed with me that she said to me on weekends, if ever I have the time, I can come down to her office and use the typewriters and, you know, to sharpen, because she saw abilities in me and so on. Her name was Beryl Skeet. She later became Beryl Felicien. She had married a retired ex-policeman called Mr. Felicien. And MB's secretarial services, MB standing for Mary Bruce. So these were the two, if you can say, heavy-hitting secretarial service businesses that I knew around town. Beryl Skit Felicien, she passed away many years ago, and you know, a very nice lady to me and so on. Really took me under her wing. I was her form prefect and so on, and she looked up, and you know, if ever I stepped out of line, she would call me in and say, you know, I have high expectations of you. And but you know, Mary Bruce, she and I never had this close connection, but always a smiling lady when she met me, always someone who, and so she got that award for office admission. I said these two, and that they were two women getting awards in an area that I'm not very much accustomed to, or maybe never heard of anybody being getting awards for liturgy and for office administration and whatever the secretarial services and so on that they had. That one kind of fast. I almost got myself in a bit of a trouble because I wanted to convey. In fact, I was going to, on air on Zafenu this morning, mention about Mrs. Samuel and also about Mary Bruce. And I wanted to draw reference to their family. I'm a little more familiar with Mrs. Samuel's children and all of that. So I was going to pick up and ask somebody, well, to say about Mary Bruce's family, because I thought somebody was a member of her family. I decided to just do a little check with the person. I never mentioned anything on air to find out whether, in fact, Mary Bruce was related to her. And the kind of pushback that I got, it came close to being a tongue lashing, because that was wrong. But thankfully, I had not said it on air as yet. So to the individual, I'll say that's all that there was to it. My fascination with the award categories, which I had never heard before, just wanted to and decided out of an abundance of caution in regard to you to ask whether there was a blood relation. It turned out not to be so. But like I said, the close to being a tongue lashing response that you gave me was utterly unnecessary. I have no ulterior motive, and I had no one putting me up to anything. In fact, I don't see what's the put up with that. So let me just move on. So basically, I think I'll just leave it at the Mary Bruce Antilita Samuel thing again. Let me say to my friend Rachel, thanks for the gift that you gave me. You heard me talking about the local fruits and how we need to try to create a little resurgence in terms of their cultivation and all of that, so that, people will be able to enjoy them like they could. They can save the day for some people who may be hungry, who may be just having a little crash of blood sugar, whatever it is, that they can reach their hands and eat one, and not always have to go into a supermarket, which many people can't because they cannot afford it. But the land is such that you should be able, passing somewhere on some kind of public freehold, or however is the right way to term it, and take a good guava and just eat it at the moment, because you're feeling a little famished and you're feeling like you might faint or collapse, and just get it. If we can in such a short time have so much wax apple as a result of the Taiwanese being in St. Lucia, I feel we can do better in terms of our own, local fruits and so on that we have had. Some of them you don't even know if they exist anymore. All right, so Rachel, my friend, thank you for the kaimit. And Jaim some time ago on Zafeno had told me, do you know there's also a white kaimit? Well, I grew up knowing the purple kaimit. And I can tell you, when this thing is well ripe, this thing is nice. It's nice. The kaimit, the sapodilla. And it's not just the sweetness, but the fiber in them and the other nutrients that I think they doubtless have. And my friend Rachel heard me and she said, she has something for me. It's a little sweet. So I figured maybe she baked some little lababad or something and she gave me. But no, Rachel handed over to me a little bag containing 2 purple kaimits. And my goodness me, when I grew up, I knew kaimit getting big, but it's a long time. People have brought me kaimit since, but to me, the kaimit they brought me was relatively like a how you call this thing, like an ackee, when you got those plump ackee. But this one was a good apple size, good. And she also brought me, Jaime told me, do you know that there's a white kaimit? I had never heard of it where I grew up. I had never seen. I know there's kaimit and something much smaller that they call bui. But, Jaime told me there's a white kaimit, and Rachel gave me 2 purple kaimit and 2 white kaimit. And I can tell you, they were delicious, Now, Rachel, I'm saying that half to acknowledge you and half hoping that I'll flatter you that you'll bring some more, without actually telling you so. But this is our final commercial break. We'll take it, and when we come back, the lines will still be open for your calls, and I'll continue reading from your messages.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains and illnesses? When there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene of vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway. Call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The CDC opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosley Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosley.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Appreciate you staying with the real issues on this Monday, the 30th of March, 2026, with me, Shelton Daniel. The telephone lines are open for your calls. The numbers to dial, the landline is 4533-911, and you can also WhatsApp call us on 487-9849. So 487-9849. You can WhatsApp call us on that mobile number, area code 758, of course. Or you can reach us on the landline 4533-911. We're wrapping up at 2 o'clock. So make up your mind, make the most and the best of it. And we, of course, will continue enjoying your company. Now let's see what we have here on the YouTube. We're back on YouTube, folks. So remember it. I'm getting a message about someone who's telling me they have some money that they want to send to my account and so on. It's been kind of distracting. So I told them, no, just leave the money where it is. You know, if it's mine, I'll access it later, because I know the next thing that they will want my bank account information, and they want this and they'll want that and so on. So as soon as I told them, no, don't make any transfer to me, the next message I'm getting is that, okay, I also need it, so I will just withdraw it to my bank. Well, you should have withdrawn it to your bank or kept it at your bank. It's only now that I say, no thanks to you, that you need it and so on. Good afternoon to Cornelia Jacob, who says, trying to tease me. Hello, Jaquan. Hi, Nigel. Goodbye, Shelton. Oh, yeah, okay, all right, no problem. And then, I think she was hearing what I was saying about the bananas and the canals, and I think she also has a serious issue with that. We're going to be investing so much into our Creole heritage and our Creole consciousness and our Creole language and whatever it is, and we own this thing about canals and bananas and duga or dugard and marigot and gros islet, and we continue. Although I must say, you can't make people understand that diga, it's not, there's diga in Chosel, there's diga in Mikwa, I don't know, there's other diga. It's not because it's du that you have to say duga, I don't know, and they'll keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. What's happening with my calls, Jaquan? All right, 487-9849 and 4533-911, the numbers on which you can reach us, and we are standing by. Good afternoon to Mr. Mohammed Aziz. You would have heard me talk about this gentleman quite a lot. I think Mr. and Mrs. Aziz have finally decided to call it a day on their little eating place that they ran first down on Jean-Baptiste Street in Cassius by the newer CDC buildings. And they moved up to Grosley, where they operated to the back of that place, the Massey place, where the cinema used to be, Cinema 2000. But they've decided that that they're of an age, that they're going to pack that in. And so if you go to the place, there is still an operator there operating a food service, but you won't see Mr. Mohammed Aziz and his wonderful, lovely wife there anymore. They've decided it's time for them to rest. They've worked long, they've worked very hard. So, Mr. Aziz, to you and your wife, whose name I've never really asked, but I know you treasure and cherish and value her so much that you call her Gem. She is your gem. I hope you all are having a good day, having a good time. Happy retirement to your son, just as wonderful Nurani Aziz, and the grandchildren that you'll have. I don't know her very well, but to your daughter Shanaz, who I've spoken with by the telephone, I wish you all the very best. You're good people, and I think you deserve the happiness and the peace of your years that you have spent, and I think you've lived them very well. So blessings to you both, and I'll try to swing by one day when time permits for a visit. All right, what else do I have there? Yep. Okay. Somebody's sending me a voice note, so let me see if I can listen to it without you hearing it on the microphone. Is a member of a union, and I think part of a team that's vying for election. They have their team approach to the executive and to elect. They'd asked me to come on the program, and I'd said someday this week would be good, so I'm calling to ask when they can come. You just tell me which day of the week, remembering we go until Thursday. So let's say between tomorrow and Wednesday, which of the two days you would prefer, and then I'll work around that and give it to you. If you prefer to come tomorrow, yeah, but I'll message you off air as well. But if you prefer to come tomorrow, that's quite okay with me. If you prefer to come Wednesday, that's also quite okay with me. Another one says, I keep correcting a friend of mine from Miku South. I told her it's not Duga. I told her the word is French-based, and you don't say the U, okay? Yeah, it's Diga. Diga in Chosel, Diga in Miku. That's what I've always known. And, the Duga tends to be for younger people. Yeah. Real issues, you're on the air. Go ahead, my friend.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi. You had to come.
I am the first to call because nobody's calling.
Okay.
And so I decided to call.
Okay.
There are some people who seem to have issues with me calling, so I have called today. Shelton, I want to ask, we keep saying there are people who have this feeling that we should ignore a certain member of parliament, not talk about that certain member of parliament, stop making that member of parliament relevant. Is that member of parliament not relevant when they are the leader of the opposition?
Well, somebody sent me such a message last week where they told me, look, what we need to do is to stop making this person relevant and ignore him and he'll stop. But then I sat and I thought and I said, do we care about the people of Miku South? You know, do we care about them that we don't give up on them? And you actually hear some people saying that's what they wanted. They voted for him, so leave them with him. But then I'm saying...
chances are the people of Miku South may not necessarily have wanted that, but that is the outcome.
Let's suppose that we had a right to essentially abandon them to their choice. What about the people who did not make that choice, who did not vote for him, who emphatically went out and registered? Don't we care about them? In any case, we're supposed to care about all St. Lucians. And if they kept faith with somebody, if they retain confidence in somebody, that is not the kind of performance that they expect from that person. You know, I know that.
According to a child, exactly. So, Shelton, this man is not just the member of parliament for Flubbles of Miku South. The man is the member of parliament for Miku South. He is the leader of the opposition party, okay? United Workers' Party, and there are thousands of people, tens of thousands of people who supported and voted United Workers' Party. So we are expecting him to at least have a brain with some measure of maturity, that when he goes into Parliament, he is going into Parliament for himself. He did not bring himself to Parliament, because, Shelton, if I bring myself to Parliament, you know where I have to sit, right? Okay? I can't go sit at the table. The people put you there to look after their interests. Why do you make it about you? Okay? The Prime Minister presented a budget estimate. You had the information, go through it, find to comb, fix to comb or not. But go through it and respond based on what you think the needs of the people are, that the Prime Minister is not taking care of. But what he is proving, two things, very important things, that the Prime Minister has done such admirable work, such excellent work in the presentation of that budget estimate, that he does not need to respond to it. But he is also saying that I am so immature. I don't know why you guys retain confidence in me. I am so immature that I simply cannot allow Richard Frederick and Ernest Hilaire to speak before me. I have to speak after them. I want to talk after them. I want to answer them. I want to answer them. Hello.
You know what is tragic about this? The man saw he did that same foolishness for 4 years, and it did not make his situation or that of his party any better. You know?
Of course it is. The situation of his party better. He lost one seat. That's better for him.
Let me suggest.
He has no backer.
Yeah, let me suggest something to you. What would you think if the Prime Minister, the government, created a new portfolio and gave it to Dr. Chandelier Harrison, Minister with special responsibility for Miku South? You know, at the end of the day, you do not remove him as the elected MP. You cannot unelect somebody. Once he's elected, he's elected. He's still leader of the opposition. He's still the parliamentary representative. But you appoint somebody with cabinet responsibility, for the lone opposition constituency to ensure that they're not neglected, that projects are done. And the CDP funds, whatever, you go back and you rearrange that CDP funds, that if you're not showing up and you're not doing your work and so on, that a vote can be taken in the parliament to say that these CDP funds, that they can be redirected away from you. I don't know, something needs to be done.
Shelton. Shelton, if I have not said this before, I'm going to say it now. Shelton, I love you like Cochon Labu, a massacre confusion. I hope somebody listening passes on the information to Mr. Pierre, and Mr. Pierre does exactly that. And you will see a change in his demeanor, a change in his attitude, because now he does not, and that's what's bothering the man. The power he thought he had, the power he thought he would have gotten as the lone man in the house, he does not see it anyway. What he should have learned was to have let the flag touch the ground. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, folks, I'm sorry, but it looks like our WhatsApp line is having a bit of a problem. Jaquan is trying his best to see if he can get it to boot up. But the number to which it is associated is being a bit unresponsive for now. So the landline is still working just fine. So we'll take another call on it right now. Real Issues, you're on the air.
Sheldon, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
Mr. Anthony got a St. Lucia Cross. Just a little correction I give you there. St. Lucia Cross.
Okay. Hold on. Let me go to the notes that I was making while it was going on, because I think I did put SLC by my notes, so maybe I said something that I myself had not put on. Mr. McNamara, the lawyer, Dr. Stephen McNamara, got the St. Lucia Cross, and I have Earl Huntley SLC. So you're right. I actually have the notes, Earl Huntley, St. Lucia Cross. Yes, so these two got St. Lucia Cross. Michael Gasper and Hilary LaForce got St. Lucia Medal of Honor Gold. Yeah?
That's right.
As well as Dr. Beaubrien, I think. Dr. Christopher Beaubrien. So 3 people got the St. Lucia Medal of Honor Gold, and 2 got the St. Lucia Cross, Earl Huntley and Stephen McNamara. Yeah.
Have a good day, Sheldon.
All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your correcting me. I actually misread my own notes when... okay, so let me release that call. We still have time to take a couple more calls if you are so inclined. We're not working on the mobile, the WhatsApp line for now, but 4533-911, that is the landline on which you can call us. You can't make the WhatsApp calls that we normally use the mobile number for. All right. Boy, somebody. Let me see that. You don't pronounce the S in the plural form of French words unless it precedes a word starting with a vowel. Most Creole words have a French origin, all right? And I think that's in reference to the bananas and the savans and so on. I'm just saying, too much of that at this stage of our development. We have a call on the line. Real Issues. Hello? Hello? Hi, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead. Hello? Hello, are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, Sheldon.
Yeah, what's up?
This is Leo.
Yeah, you seem to have a problem with having your...
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I just got out of call you 30 times for all that disruption.
I'm getting a kind of reverb and feedback on the call. Are you speaking directly into the phone or something? It's like I'm just not hearing you clearly. I'm hearing you. I know you there.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yes, a lot better.
Right. Okay. That's Albert. I was just saying thanks for all the props, man.
Okay, Albert Leo.
That's correct.
How are things, my brother?
Everything all right, man. Everything all right.
Yes. That's not a problem, man. I believe in... Here in St. Lucia, we have a lot of talent, a lot of skill, a lot of experience, but some of us, we lack standards, and I like to see that you're one of those, And your family, too, generally. You all have good standards, good service, good respect for people. You can always tell how much respect people have for they're paying customers and members of the public by the way that they serve them. And I like to see you all have standards, you know.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. So you out today, or today is your rest day?
No, I'm on. Every day, man.
Okay, all right. The problem, of course, with me is town, and especially at the end of the month now, you know, and so on. Even the little parking spaces that they have that you can go and pay at $3 or something, you know. At this time, you know, they kind of taken up. But I'll see. Whenever I can bounce around, I'll do so.
No problem, man. Always there.
Okay, Albert. All the best to you.
Yeah, man.
You know, that's Albert Leo, you know, member of the family that has the Leo's restaurants and so on. He has his place on the boulevard in that little alleyway between, you know, where they're doing the construction for the halls of justice, and is it Raj Communication there, you know. Nice set of people, you know. Generally, I believe the standards for food service and so on have gotten better in the country. People are more conscious. Competition puts pressure on people that they have to perform and so on. But you know, that whole Leo family and so on. And Lisa, I haven't forgotten you. Jazz is coming. I know you and your husband, wherever you all can, you're probably going to be doing your little lunchtime sessions, or is that out of the reckoning because you had to relocate recently? But you know, another good member of the Leo family. All right, did somebody send me a flyer which says, I think, the St. Lucia Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, in collaboration with the St. Lucia Bakers Association, Inc. and the Ministry of Commerce, cordially invites you to the launch of the Careers in the Baking Industry Apprenticeship Program. It's a little way from now. It says the date is April 21st, 2026, from 10 a.m. at the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards Conference Room in Bize, Castries. All right, we need to have more people in good baking and so on, but like I said, you know, let's not just bake according to the tradition of the flour and the white flour and the flour and this kind of thing. I would like to see us using pastry and crust for our pizza and our wraps and our so on, that are made with, you know, a little dash in, you know, whatever it is, tortilla, wrap, whatever it is and so on, you know, that we can have those kind of things, that we are using locally grown things and make greater use of it. Because the young people of today, it's not that the breadfruit tastes any different, but the way we used to cut it up, the boot, you know, the chunks and so on. They're not on a generation raised on tortillas and crisp and so on. We have to learn to do those things, you know, so that when they sit at Caribbean cinemas and so on, they can dip for some, you know, some tortillas or nachos or whatever it is that is made, you know, from our plantain and this kind of thing. It can be done. It can be done. I'm sure it can be done. So, where are we now, Jaquan? Almost at the end of the program. I think Mr. Huntley needs that cross for the forest. Mention my name and I'll sue you. That one kind of went over my head. Eh? What does Mr. Huntley need the cross for the forest? I'm not sure. So, you know, that one was a little too slick and sophisticated for me. So I can't really figure out what it is that you're saying. You know, I'm a simple man, you know, and the clever, subtle turn of phrase and so on, I don't always catch it. All right, so, folks, let me see who sent me that. Yeah, so I'm trying to see if I can go back to the Facebook. Oops, what did I do there? Anyway, I'll be using my laptop, so I meant to come in with it, you know, but I've decided to come in with my laptop because trying to sometimes toggle through different windows on a relatively small phone, I think I'm getting old, so I can't really do this no more. But thank you very much, everyone, for having been part of the Real Issues at the start of Holy Week. I may say that the person messaged again and said, leave it alone before we both get sued. Also, there was something perilous, something risky about the cross and the forest and all this kind of thing. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm glad, you know, I've known Mr. Huntley for 40 years at least, and I think more than that. And we've always had very good rapport and relationship and so on, based upon great respect, even though we can crack a joke and so on. And the last thing I want is now in my old age, you know, even though I'm a couple rungs lower on the ladder than Mr. Huntley, but to get in a lawsuit from Mr. Huntley, I'm sure the distress of that again, the anguish alone, would probably ensure that I make my exit before him Because madika ipon pensa, madika ipon chagrinsa, la pensa yon deka chwe. You understand what I'm talking about? So, tomorrow same time, God willing, from 12:30 until 2 p.m. Let's see if the union people who wanted to come and talk about their team seeking election to form the new executive, if they want to come tomorrow or they want to come on Wednesday. Until then, Shelton Daniel signing out.
The voice.
As for the midday draw of Monday, 30th March 2026 were Double Daily Grand 4, 11, 14, 17. Big 4, 2, 4, 5, 9. Big 4 Multi-X FP. Pick 2, 0, 0. Pick 2 Multi-X 2X. 1 off, 8, 6, 1. Lucky 3, 5, 8, 7. Lucky 3 Multi-X FP.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains, and illnesses? When there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains, and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in